Hey everybody, it is Randy with Carchaeology, and we have had a workshop day today. Sebastien came out. We did a bunch of work on the CRX and did some work on the 190 SL as well. Now, again, I really didn't spend any time getting footage of us working on shit. It ended up being a fun day. Another buddy came out, the beers came out, we ended up just having a good time. But I wanted to give you an update on what was accomplished today, because despite the laid-back approach to today's adventure, we actually got some stuff done. So, the Honda CRX is the main focus right now, and we're trying to get this car prepped and ready for the Japanese Classic Car Show that is happening beginning of October. So when Oscar came out this past weekend, he said, you got to pull those injectors out. We'll send those off to have those cleaned and that sort of thing, as well as replacing all the fuel lines, which is something that is still to be done. The other main project today was to get the remains of the fuel cell out of there and to get the whole project into the hands of Ben up the way so he can craft a tank for us. So now that fuel cell, or that whole area there, has been cleared out. As you can see, it's kind of a cavity there, not a very big one. It's hard to imagine a fuel tank sitting in that spot, but you can further see the way that they did the back end of this car. So you can see the subframe down there, you can see the fuel pumps, there's the transmission, there's the engine, all this upper bracing up here to hold it all together, motor mount there on that side, so on and so forth. And then looking in the back here as well, you can see the shock towers where the struts come up through. Now keep in mind, they basically took a whole subframe from the Honda Accord and put it up underneath there and then fused the steering so that it was go nice and straight in the back. So in any case, all the plumbing and stuff going everywhere. This big pipe right here leads up to the fuel filler that's on the other side. There's some more big pipes that run underneath for a cooling system for the back engine as well as the front. And we've got that all opened up. Ben has his dimensions and his plans on what to do for the tank. We ended up pulling the fuel rail and injectors off of the front motor as well. So all of that is open there. And we will indeed be able to get all of that back together, hopefully here soon. I think the biggest problem is going to be creating the tank so that it can fit into that space, be able to slide in through the slot that is there at the front, and to clear everything in there. We figured out what we need to do when it comes to the fittings and all of that, and I think we'll be good. We also messed around a bit with the 190 SL. So Sebastien jumped underneath it. We had a locked up rear wheel on the passenger side, and that took a pretty Herculean effort to get that all apart. But we did get that off of there, or Sebastien did. I just watched. Got that drum off of there, got the brakes loosened up. We've got the greasy fingerprints on the car to prove it. And while he was working on that, I was working on further cleanup of the paint. I installed the new taillight lenses that we found in the trunk. I've started to polish the finish down the side here. You can see it is indeed holding a shine. And I also spent a bunch of time in here working on the steering wheel and the dashboard, trying to polish up that original paint there, get the gauges all to shine, the chrome and everything around the gauges. Spent a lot of time on that. I still have a bit more to do. I also started the cleaning of the interior. You can see the seat bottom here. I gave an initial scrub to, comparing it to this side here, which is pretty scruffy and gnarly. I think I need to go over this maybe a couple more times, but the material is pretty supple and is cleaning up fairly well. And I think we're going to end up having a pretty decent looking seat, or at least one that's clean enough to get onto. Another thing I started doing was cleaning up everything I could find. So I got into the door jambs, cleaned up all of that stuff. I'm trying to preserve any sort of bit of history, like the service stickers that are on the door jambs. I did that over here as well. Polished up the latch, all the areas around here, but preserving this stuff as a part of its history is kind of fun. Obviously, if you're going to restore the car, you get rid of all that stuff and it goes away. But I'm trying to make the very best out of what I've got here. Certainly the car would be a great basis for a restoration. It would be fun to restore that and make it perfect, but there's a lot of time and money and effort that goes into doing that, and that's time and money and effort that I really don't want to put into it at this point. Now, another thing that we did is to continue to soak the engine. So I had put some Marvel Mystery oil down the cylinders. That's been soaking for a few days. We followed that up with a little diesel fuel to let that sit. And once we got the brakes unlocked and were able to roll the car back and forth to see if the engine returned, we realized that it doesn't. That motor is stuck in there, and that's a big drag. But I've got to remember the same thing happened with the 1940 Mercedes. That engine was stuck. It would not turn. I wanted to soak it, give it a good long time to pickle and everything to get nice and soft in there. And then that car turned over just fine. So I plan on doing the same here with a little hope and a little prayer and maybe a little more soaking of that engine. We can get it to turn. If it doesn't turn, well, that's a big problem and an expensive engine to rebuild. So definitely some successes today. A couple of little drawbacks being the engine, the biggest one, but it's been fun to clean this car up, make it look the best that it can look, and hopefully at some point we can actually fire it up and drive it. And then once all the pieces come for the Honda CRX, get all that stuff on there, replace the lines, fire that up, and take it for its maiden voyage. So anyway, that was our day of wrenching and working here in the lab. And well, the beer drinking, obviously I'm still standing, so I restrained myself a bit, but it did make for a very, very fun Monday. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Keep on digging them up and driving them. Bye-bye.